Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll look into an MVP candidate for the 2021 season. He just recently joined forces with KD and Kyrie on the Brooklyn Nets. He's one of the best one-on-one players possibly in NBA history, and also a great passer. Everyone knows how much James Harden loves to dribble, but if you focus on that too much, next thing you know he's dishing off the ball to his teammate for a lob. He's been a spectacular add to the Brooklyn squad, and some think that he's having another MVP season. Today's topic is NBA legends and more on James Harden. Is he MVP worthy? Let's get into the video.
Nothing. He didn't step up when he was supposed to step up, so when you're the man.
So like I said before, James Harden is not only one of the best one-on-one players, but he's great at threading passes from so many different angles. He may take a lot of dribbles that we think are unnecessary, but clearly every dribble has a purpose. Let's check out what some NBA legends and more think about James Harden and his game.
Shaq, you got a problem with how James Harden forced his way out of Houston?
Yes and no. One is the business of basketball, but when you say you gave the city your all, that ain't true. And I'm about to say some things, and keep in mind I have G14 classification to say these things. You asked for Dwight Howard, we gave him to you. Didn't work out. You asked for Chris Paul, we gave him to you. You asked for some shooters, we gave it to you. We asked for Westbrook, your homeboy from Little League, we gave him to you. It didn't work out. And when you say I gave you everything, I say no, you didn't. Because the last 5 games, when it comes to elimination, you're 1-4. You've been shooting 41%, 24% from 3, 32 assists, and 27 turnovers. I used to be like James. I used to come home and complain, man, he didn't do it. And my father, rest in peace, Sergeant Philip Harris, used to say, but what the hell did you do? He ain't do nothing. He ain't step up when he was supposed to step up. So, when you're the man and you make all the money, you make 30, 40 million a year, it's a big responsibility. Chuck has said this many times. When you're the man, you got a big responsibility. It's all on you. So when it comes time to show up, he ain't show up. So I know a lot of people in Houston glad he's gone. So now he got his little super team. He got to win this year. If he don't win this year, it's a bust, period.
Is it a given that with Kyrie, Kevin Durant, and James Harden, that they're in the finals?
Hell no. You go ahead, Kenny. Okay. I did not think you were going to take that approach, Jack. That surprised me. It was not. It surprised me. Not shocking, but it surprised me. I was like,
but is it real?
I never thought of it that way until you said it. I honestly never thought of it that way because I've just looked at his production, MVPs, right.
Yeah, but listen, when it comes time to show up in that game, that's the game I want to see.
I like to hear it because, like I say, I like to hear things I didn't think about. Nets, what James brings to them is, is they don't have to skill themselves. They're not as deep, no, but they don't have to skill themselves into winning every game because Kevin Durant is more skilled than most players. Kyrie is skilled than most players. But at times, even when Kevin is not on target, he's bigger, he's more athletic, and he can get by just on his size. Same with James. When he's off, he's still bigger enough to say, I could dominate you from my size. So they have 2 guys now. Kyrie is a skill guy. He's going to dominate you on his skill. He's not always more athletic and bigger. So at times, you could possibly be there. So now the 3 of them, like Chuck, if you don't get to the conference finals, to the NBA finals, it is a bust. This is
no, they're all in, yeah, obviously. And you say it's not a guarantee.
I don't think it's even close to a guarantee, Ernie.
James Harden is carrying the Nets with other stars KD and Kyrie both being absent. Right now, Harden is 16 of 28 in the last 5 minutes of close games in Brooklyn. The Nets are standing in 3rd place in the Eastern Conference, right behind the 76ers and the Bucks, but they have a solid chance of earning a place in the NBA Finals this season if they could keep all 3 stars of the Big 3 healthy. So let's check out some more on what NBA legends and more think of James Harden.
He is a favorite for sure. I think now that, look, in the beginning of the season, up until he got hurt, I thought Embiid was the MVP of the league. Then once Embiid went down, okay, it's got to be LeBron. Because those guys, LeBron hadn't missed any time, missed 1 game before the All-Star break, was carrying the team, no AD, the whole thing. Now with LeBron down, yeah, Harden's there with, I think my two other picks right now are Jokic and Damian Lillard. I think those three guys are all in the mix because LeBron's going to miss some significant time, and so is Embiid. Look, the argument against Harden originally for me, not to put him ahead of the other two guys I just mentioned, LeBron and Embiid, is because he missed time with his team, with the Nets, and his play in Houston, and then subsequent, like not benching, but kind of taking him out of the lineup in Houston means he couldn't be available, obviously, for the Nets and wasn't playing at a very high level in the beginning of the year anyway. But look at what happened to Houston since he left. They fall apart. And look what he's doing in Brooklyn, playing, I think, the best ball of his entire career, which is.
Without Kyrie, we can't ignore that. James Harden is the MVP of the NBA, plain and simple. Like I say, Embiid had it for a minute. LeBron's been right there. I talk about Chris Paul, what he's doing in Phoenix, but the MVP in the NBA right now is James Harden. Well, let me say this. First of all, what James has done, like, he's not the same guy who played like he did in Houston. He don't play like that anymore, having a bunch of guys just standing around and watch him go one-on-one. To me, he's played like a real point guard. And the game, he obviously hasn't had KD, but when Kyrie is there, he makes Kyrie better. But man, when he's not there, even last night against Portland, I was watching that game last night. I'm like, I didn't think they could win that game last night. And I know you guys got him on TV tonight against the Jazz. Listen, if he go into Utah and win tonight, that to me, like, if he don't get MVP after that, people are just being biased. Listen, he did not handle the situation well coming out of Houston. He quit on those Rockets. But you know what? Hey, he made a mistake. He apologized for it. But what he's doing in Brooklyn right now cannot be overlooked. And we should appreciate it because, listen, this guy, and I know I'm going to probably get criticized for saying this guy might be the best basketball player in the world. I mean, he might be the best player in the world. I've always thought he was the best offensive player. He wasn't as great as Michael and Kobe. But I said a few years ago, and people laughed at me, he's the best offensive player I've ever seen. But right now, no disrespect to LeBron or Giannis or anybody, James Harden might be the best basketball player in the world, period.
Numbers and his impact on this team and what his numbers have been. To me, with Embiid down and LeBron down, he has to be right up there with Joker for MVP.
Matt, is he going to win the MVP?
Probably not.
Okay, thank you.
But there could be two categories of reasons, right? It could be because of who else is on his team. Some voters might have an issue with that. Some voters might have an issue with, as you said, sort of the way things went in Houston, whether it's the way he forced the trade, whether it's sort of those empty calorie stats he put up at the beginning.
The floor,
yes,
can't fight what he does on the
I don't disagree.
Similar to Kyrie.
Right.
Similar to Kyrie. Once he's on the floor, who cares what he says off the floor? Like when these guys are on the floor, they're some of the best players we've ever seen. I know you're not saying that.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I'm just with the vote. Again, we know who the voting poll is. We have a whole treasure trove now of history on how people vote.
Agreed.
Richard, what do you think is going to be the issue that might trip up voters? And do you think that it will be as prominent if LeBron misses a whole chunk of the season and Embiid's missing a chunk of the season?
My thing is this. James Harden has been in this same conversation for the last 5 years. So we shouldn't be surprised that he's back in the conversation again this year.
Yeah.
No one thought there was going to be a drop-off at the beginning of the season for James Harden. So for him to be doing what we've always seen him do isn't a surprise. I think where he's going to get, issues is because of the way he left Houston. That's just it. Like, let's call a spade a spade. It's not because he's got other superstars, because those guys have been out. It's not because his numbers aren't as historic, because they are. It's not because we're, jaded by what he's doing. It's purely because of the way he left. And that's not fair. It's not necessarily right. There were some things going on wrong on both sides. So it's like, but I just don't think he's going to be rewarded for his performance. And that's unfortunate.
So Harden earned himself a spot in the MVP race just by his performances in Brooklyn. But Jokic, Damian Lillard, Joel Embiid, and we can't forget LeBron James are in the race as well. With LeBron and Embiid being hurt, does Harden fall into that number one spot? Or maybe another star is more deserving of this trophy? What do you guys think? Drop a comment and let us know your opinion. Thanks for tuning in to watch today's video. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.